Hello, students. How are you? This is economics lesson video for grade 11, presented by me, Mr. Fusumir Mios. It is for term 1, week 2 in lesson 4. In today's lesson, we are going to deal with the models of circular flow and characteristics of entrepreneurs. Students, before we go to the main part of today's session, let us briefly revise the previous class. Do you remember what I have discussed in the previous class? Good. We have dealt with the concepts of mixed economy and decision-making units in an economy. When you say mixed economy, it is an economic system that combines the characteristics of both capitalism and socialism. It is a combination of the private and public ownership in the production and distribution and various economic activities. It is mainly characterized by coexistence of public and private sector. And there is also economic welfare, economic planning, price mechanism, economic equality are the other major characteristics or main features of mixed economy. This economic system has its own advantage. This economic system has its own advantage. Advantage like private property, profit motive, price mechanism, all these things are exist in a mixed economy. There is also adequate freedom for making various economic decisions. The system allows rapid economic development because there is planned economy since there is involvement of the public sector. Social welfare, fewer economic inequalities are the other advantage or like features in the mixed economy. Even though this economic system is more ideal, it is not perfect. There are a number of disadvantages like ineffectiveness and inefficiency in the government and the private sector, instability, economic fluctuations through time, corruption in black market are the major features that are taken as a disadvantage for mixed economic system. The other one, we have tried to see decision-making units in an economy and the circular flow activities. Decision-making units or economic agents are households, the owner of factors of resource, factors of production, and there are also business sectors, those who produce goods and service, and the government sector, particularly general government, in order to separate the government enterprises. We refer general government sector, and the rest of the world. Households are owners of the resource. Business sectors are those who produce goods and services by hiring factor resource. And government, the one that provides social services to the society. In the circular flow, we try to see there is flow types, money flow and real flow. In the case of real flow, factor service from owners of factors flow to the producers. Producers hire factor service in order to produce goods and services. And goods and service flow from producers to the buyers or to the households or the government. This flow is represented as a real flow whenever factor service flow from household to the firm and goods and services from firms to the buyers or household or government, that is going to be represented as a real flow. In the case of money flow, there is money income from factor service such as rent, wage, interest, etc. And the money expenditure incurred for the purchase of goods and service. This will flow in the money flow direction. Income from producer to the household in order to purchase factor services, and there is an expenditure for the purchase of goods and service that is going to be represented as money flow. So we have two type of flows, money flow and real flow. This is what we try to see in the previous lesson. Students, what is closed economy mean? What do you think about it? What kind of system is this? Pause the video for a while and give your own answer. Models of circular flow. Student, I hope you have given the right answer for the previous question. We will answer that while we discuss this part. Circular flow model represents the flow of goods and service and financial activities among the three major economic agents or the three decision-making units in an economy. What are these three units? Household, firm, and government. It doesn't include the rest of the world. This is what means closed economy. Closed economy refers to economic transaction that circulate within the domestic territory. There will not be any kind of import and export. This is what closed economy mean. All economic transaction circulates among household, firm, and government within the domestic territory. There is no import and export or any contact or transaction with the rest of the world. So circular flow models that we are going to talk now here are circulating in a closed economy. Then we have two model of circular flows, two sector model and three sector model. The two sector model consisting of the flow between households and the business sector or firms. The two sector model represents only the household in the business sector or firm. It doesn't include the government. But in the three sector flow, it consists flow among household, business sector, and the government. Two sector models of circular flow. The two sector model represents a private closed economy with only two sectors, the household sector and the business sector or firms. It can further be divided into two types, two sector economy without saving and two sector economy with saving. Let us see the difference with diagram. Two sector economy without saving. Students, look at the diagram carefully and try to give your own analysis or interpretation. Pause the video for a while and try to give your own interpretation by looking the diagram carefully. Have you done that, students? Good. Let us see it together. When you look at the diagram, there are two things that are represented, the real flow and the money flow. The money flow is represented by the broken line which is drawn outside the circle. The broken line represents the money flow, payments. And the solid line inside represents the real flow. From household, factor service is flowing towards the firm. Land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. Firms hire all these factor services, factor resources. Why? in order to produce goods and service. Once they produce goods and service, that will be flow to the households, from firm to the household, goods and service. From household to firm, factor service. This is the real flow. In the return, for example, firms, when they hire factor service, land, labor, capital, entrepreneur, they have to pay. Many payment for factor service will be made. That will be considered as cost of production from the firm's side, cost of production. But that will serve as an income for households. Money payment for factor service is an income for household and expense for firm or cost of production. Then all the money that the households receive from firm will spend entirely for the purchase of goods and services. That is a payment for good and service. One thing that you have to know here, all the income that received by household and firm will spend for the purchase of factor service and goods and services. The income that households receive firms entirely spend for the purchase of goods and service. A single income will not be saved. Entirely, the income will spend for the purchase of goods and service. That is what it means without saving. A circular flow between two economic sectors without saving. There is no money that is saved in the capital account or in financial institutions. And the same thing will then by firms. Firms also entirely spend their income for the purchase of factor service. Clear? Good. Money flow from firm to household as a payment for factor service, and back from household to firms as a payment for goods and services. This is what we have a financial flow or money flow side. Two sector economy with saving. Surin, what do you understand by looking this diagram? What the basic difference here? Here we have the capital market, the financial institution, banks, microfinance, development bank, and different financial sectors are exist in this flow. They are represented with capital market. Whenever we have the capital market, that will trigger household and firms to save, and that will encourage again investors to invest. If households and firms save some amount of their income in the capital market, that will build up the capacity of the financial institutions, and they will be able to provide loans for investors. Whenever there is high rate of investment, that will lead for economic growth by increasing the formation of capital. Capital means machines, factories, industries, roads, and so on. So whenever there is a capital market, that will encourage saving, and whenever there is high rate of saving, the capacity of the financial market or the capital market will enhance, and it provide adequate loans for investors. If there is high rate of investment, and that again lead to economic growth by formation of capital assets. So we need to have such kind of market in an economy. Household and firms are entirely spend their income for the purchase of factor service and goods and services that will not encourage or lead economic development. There should be a capital market in order to enhance further development of the capital asset in the economy. Three sector model of circular flow. In this model, the economy had the following three sectors: households, firms, and government. Now we are dealing with these three economic agents. This is the circular flow of income in a three-sector economy. Previously, we have seen the two-sector flow with saving and without saving. And we have some basic information about the circular flows. Now, simply, we are going to add the government sector here and government activities in the flow. Look at the diagram carefully. The government purchases factor service and goods and services from firms and households. Why it purchases goods and service and factor services from household and firms? In order to provide social service and do various government activities. But how they are going to purchase factor service from households, goods and services from firms? The government collect as a source of income or revenue in the form of taxes. Taxes are imposed in the form of direct tax and indirect tax on households and firms. That is the main source of the government. By collecting this revenue, the government will spend that for the purchase of factor service and goods and services. Then it provides social service to the society. This is what you have in the three sector model flow in an economy. The other thing that you may notice in the government activity is transfer payment and subsidies. Subsidies for firms and transfer payment for households. Transfer payment, the likes of pension, and subsidies for firms, those who produce social goods, the likes of edible oil or bread and the likes. Firms, those who engage in the production of social goods, might be subsidized by the government to some amount. And there is a transfer payment for households, the likes of pension. These are the overall activities of the government in the three sector circular flow. Okay, students, we have seen the circular flow models, the two sector and three sector circular flow model in a closed economy. Now, let us see the concepts of entrepreneurs. An entrepreneur is a person who organizes the other factor resources and undertake the risk and uncertainties involved in production. Entrepreneurship is practiced by the entrepreneur in the production resource that coordinates labor, capital, natural resource, and other technologies. This is what means overall entrepreneurship in an economy. Characteristics of entrepreneurs. Student, these are the major characteristics that entrepreneurs need to have: farsightedness, courage, quality of leadership, ability to organize labor, experience, moral quality, decision making ability. Read by yourself and try to grasp the main concepts. Do it by yourself. Okay, students, that's all for today. To briefly highlight what we try to see in today's session, we have dealt with the concepts of models of circular flow. In this model, there are two type of models: two-sector circular flow and three-sector circular flow models. In the two-sector circular flow model, there are again two subdivisions: two-sector circular flow with saving and two-sector circular flow without saving. In the two-sector circular flow with saving, it is more advisable one in the economic activity. Whenever we have the capital market or the financial institution in the circular flow, that will encourage saving and investment. If there is a high rate of saving and investment, that will lead for economic growth. Whenever the capacity of the financial institutions enhance, they will provide a different kind of loans for various kinds of investment. Whenever there is investment, that will lead for the formation of capital asset, and that boosts the economy. In the two-sector circular flow model without saving, we said that the entire income received by household and firm will spend for the purchase of factor service and goods and services. There is no money that is going to be saved by the firm or the household whenever there is a circular flow without saving. But For economy, we need to have a circular flow model with saving, where there is a capital market exists. So that is what we try to see in brief today. And there is also a circular flow model, the three sector circular flow model that include the government sector. Whenever there is involvement of the government, and we try to see related activities which is done by the government. The government also purchases goods and service from firm, factor service from household. In order to purchase those things, the government will generate revenue in the form of taxes. Taxes are imposed in the form of direct tax and indirect tax on firm and household. In the return, the government will purchase with this revenue goods and services from firms and factor service from households. The government also make transfer payments, home allowance, pension for households, and it also subsidize firms, particularly those who engage in the production of social service or social goods, to encourage them to provide those goods more adequately for the society. This is the overall that we try to see in today's session. Finally, we dealt with the concept of entrepreneurship, what entrepreneur and entrepreneurship mean, and I laid the characteristics for you to read by yourself and understand. That's all. We wind up today's session with the following exercise. Do this exercise carefully as usual on your exercise book. Until we meet in the next lesson video, goodbye.